Hey y'all,
What's up, y'all?
I'm Elise,
And I'm Will.
and this is Team
Team
Tatum.
Tatum. We are currently making our way through the 1001 Movies You Must Watch Before You Die 2020 edition. And today's movie is the 1962 political thriller The Manchurian Candidate, directed by John Frankenheimer, starring the likes of Frank Sinatra, Janet Leigh, and Angela Lansbury, and some other people. So the synopsis is: during the Korean War, a handful of American soldiers get kidnapped, brainwashed, and turned into sleeper agents for the American government.
Among other people.
So what we know about this movie? We know that Denzel had a remake in the early 2000s. I had no desire to see it. Like, though I was a fan of Denzel, I knew it was about like politics.
It was too grown up for him at the time.
Yeah, it was way too grown up for me at the time. So I skipped that. So I know that. I know that it has a remake. I know that it was a political, like, suspenseful type movie, and there was some like secret espionage type stuff going on. But again, like she said, too old for me. Not that I was young, I was just not into that type of stuff.
We were in high school, y'all.
Yeah.
Immature we were.
I didn't know who was in this, so it was a nice surprise to see the people in it. My homie Angela. I love some Angela Lansbury. This is the second time we've seen her on this list. So what did you know about the movie going in?
What you just said. I know that it was remade in the 2000s, starring Denzel Washington. And it had something to do with politics and espionage. And I also did not see it. I wanted to see it, but I was broke back then. I couldn't just go see whatever movie I wanted to see. So that was one of them that I did not see because there was not a group interest / I didn't have any money. Warning, spoilers ahead.
So I'm not gonna do this verbatim, well, not verbatim, but like play by play, like we normally do, and trying to reduce it down. So I just want to talk about this opening scene because it was really unique. So you got a brothel. It looks like, military guys in there. You know how they did back in the day. And this guy comes in. It's like, hey, y'all need to get up out of here. We gotta go. We got a mission. And that guy is Sergeant Shaw, right? And I might be getting his rank messed up. I'm sorry. His name is Raymond Shaw, but he's the no nonsense stickler of the outfit, right?
Who elected you leader of this outfit?
And so they all get up and go, and they just cuts to the mission. And the mission's at night, and it's clearly like this secret, like trying to sneak in minimal type of action mission. And there's a guy with super high cheekbones, like sharp, like he had plastic surgery. So he's giving like this signal, like go, 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 right? And they run up this hill, and when they get to the top of the hill, they're ambushed by another group. And we see that this helicopter comes out of nowhere and lands, and this guy gets out, and he goes to the guy who's giving the order, and he shakes his hand. So you're like, okay, this dude's a traitor. He done set them up, all right? So then it jumps to Sergeant Shaw, Raymond Shaw, getting off this plane, and he's getting welcomed back, and he's the only person. So he gets out of the plane by himself, and he's a little like, what is all of this? Like, he wasn't expecting everybody and their mama, the whole town is there welcoming him, and this woman busts through the crowd, and it's Angela Lansbury. Turns out she's his mom, and she done set all this up because she's proud of her baby. She a proud mama.
And they were greeting him because he got a Medal of Honor.
And
did he get a Purple Heart or a Medal?
No, it was the Medal of Honor. And then we get a short little backstory that finds out that he hates his mama, and rightfully so, because she's this controlling opportunist. So the only reason she threw this big like thing and invited everybody, so everybody could be like, look at my baby got the Medal of Honor. He came back, and
and so her husband could take a picture with him, get a photo op with him.
Right. So she's remarried. That's his stepdad, and he's a senator. He also don't like his stepdaddy. And so he's like, now that I'm back, I'm bouncing. Like, I'm moving to New York. I'm not staying with you. I hate you
I don't like
and
you, mama.
and Johnny or whatever.
He
She's like,
told him
"Ooh,
straight up, I don't like you, and I
don't
don't
like
like
Johnny."
you.
No mince words or whatever, right? And then we jump to Frank Sinatra. He's having a bad dream. This is the part I had to set it up so you can get what's going on. So he's having this dream, and it's him and the other guys that are in the unit, right? And they're all sitting around in chairs, and they're in this like women's meeting or whatever, right? So this movie sets in 1952.
A tea party looking situation.
Yeah, like a tea party. So this is during the Korean War. So this is 1952. So imagine what the women look like. You know, what they be dressed like at a tea party. This is what's going on. And the lady's talking about hydrangeas, and it's boring, right? She's talking about the history of hydrangeas, and they're sitting there slumped in their chair like, why am I here?
And we
and
were
we were
also
like, why are you here?
what
Right?
are you doing there?
So weird, like they're at the front, so it's a certain amount of people on one side of her, and then she's at a podium speaking, and then another, the other half.
Yeah,
And then,
like they were the special guest at the tea party or something.
right, they're like at a hotel lobby, like a meeting hall, meeting room in a hotel, and it's like 20-30 women out there, and they're nodding along, their little hats and their little dresses and clutches and all that, and these dudes are like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, like, and the camera's moving around, so the camera's not still, and at some point the woman disappears, like not from screen, but just as the camera's changing angles and whatnot. Where the woman was, there's this Asian guy. So Kai D is Sudanese and Egyptian and white. This is in Africa.
It's by Asia. African Asia touch at one point almost.
But he often played Asian guys in all of his roles. He looked the part. Like, he was bald. He squinted his eyes when he talked. He did squint his eyes. And he had like he had a Fu Manchu. He didn't have the full, like.
Though Frank Sinatra at one point in the movie said that he was standing there looking like Fu Manchu.
Yeah, that was like a common, like, just thing of the time. Every Asian man was Fu Manchu. But he did have, like, the just to the side, not in the middle at all, like Asian mustache deal going on. So it's like, you pass. But the dude who was the cheekbone dude who we talking about is played by Henry Silva. That dude's, like she said, 100% white. But we didn't find out he was supposed to be Asian until like not an hour, but later on into the movie, and they mentioned, I was like, that dude's supposed to be Asian. But anyway, his name was like Changren or something. Someone started with a C and ended with an N. But let's get back to the task at hand. This tea party scene is weird now because this Asian dude, Kai D's character, is talking, and he's not talking about hydrangeas. He's talking about how he's captured these guys and he's conditioned them. Or he was like, or the new American term that they like to use is brainwashing. And they all just chilling. Like, imagine as a soldier, you being in a discussion about hydrangeas, how you would be acting. That's how they act. Now, meanwhile he's saying all this, they're not paying him no mind whatsoever. And when he would speak to them, they would answer him, yes, ma'am. So then you come to get, as the viewer, you're like, oh, so they think they're at this hydrangea meeting thing or whatever, this high class society thing, when in reality they're talking to this dude. And then the camera, as the camera's still moving around, when it comes back around again, instead of seeing the ladies in their hats and their dresses and all that, you see random people, like random men, and they're Asian and they're white or whatever, and it turns out they're the communists, right? So they're the Russians and the Koreans and Chinese and everybody, and they're in like an observatory type room, like when you watch a
stadium style seating.
Yeah, like if a doctor was giving a presentation and all the other doctors sit around, and it's where they can see the full room, and it's kind of a circular room. They're in that type of room. But what we initially were seeing, like we said, was like a hotel room, and it keeps switching back and forth. and so it switched back between the lady talking about the plants and Kaidi's character talking about the plant, talking about the brainwashing and whatnot. And then it would show the ladies, nodding and smiling and whispering amongst each other about what was going on. And then it would switch to, but all just as the camera moved, not as like, it wasn't a white or a transition or anything. It was cuts.
Those two scenes came together and ifed.
Write down in the comments what movie that's from. And later on in the movie, by the way, there's a black guy who's in the outfit.
One of the soldiers.
And he has a dream, like Frank Sinatra's having a dream, like later on in the movie, like maybe 20 minutes later.
I thought he was going to punch his wife when he woke up.
Yeah, he was having his dream. So Frank Sinatra was in the bed by himself, so he just wakes up screaming. But then this guy wakes up and he's in bed with his wife.
And she like wakes him up kind of like he's still,
Yeah.
And she goes to wake him up. And you know how they say, I know he wasn't sleepwalking, but how they say, don't wake up somebody that's sleepwalking because they can get violent. It looks like that's what was going to happen.
Yeah, she better get knocked out.
Yeah.
But it's cool. He's having the same dream, but instead of being white women, it's black women. So everybody in there is black, but they're still talking about hydrangeas and all that. So it's like everybody viewed it differently, but the same of what wasn't happening or whatever, right? But yeah, that whole scene was super dope. How they did it, like that was really creative, and it really showed. Like as a viewer, you're looking and you're like, oh, like it take you get the Weebay moment.
Once you realize what's going on.
Once you realize what's going on. But anyway, come to find out that they were all brainwashed, but Raymond Shaw was like the Manchurian Candidate. So also, I'm dumb. I didn't know what the Manchurian Candidate meant. And
I still don't. I guess I'll find out with y'all.
Well, no, we found out, man. Because the country they were in,
it was Manchuria.
And I was like, I didn't know
we
that
didn't
country
know that was a real country.
Right? I didn't know that place existed. So I was like, oh, the Manchurian Candidate is from Manchuria, which just found out existed.
Right.
My bad. Didn't pay attention in geography, I guess.
I don't think we learned about Manchuria.
I don't know. But yeah, that's what that means. He's like he's the their sleeper agent. So the rest of the outfit was just like a part of the plan.
Yeah.
But they weren't assassins as well, which let me down because they were gone for 3 days.
Yeah.
They were missing for 3 days, and the story is he didn't get captured, and he found where they were getting held captive, killed everybody there, and then brought them back home.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he got the Medal of Honor, because he brought back these POWs. So when we were talking during the movie, and I was disappointed that we didn't see the other people, and you were saying they got killed off.
I only said 2 people got killed off.
Well, 2 people got killed.
Get killed.
2 people got killed off during that hotel scene because of his brainwashing. Like they were proving how brainwashed he is, and
that he would not hesitate to kill somebody.
He did not. He killed two of his boys. There was 11 of them in total, including Shaw and the traitor dude, Shingren or whatever his name was, little Asian dude. Well, Asian guy. And so, not including those 2 people, there was 9 altogether that he saved. But they said in the movie, I think 11, that he saved 11, but maybe they were just talking about the whole unit.
Save yourself.
But the only people
gonna save somebody else if you can't save yourself.
I'm happy to see you, man. And always remember, my brother, 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish, knick-knack, paddywhack, get a dog a bone.
So the only people we see come home are Shaw, Major Marco, which is Frank Sinatra's character, and the black guy. I don't know that dude's name.
Shameful.
It is shameful. But tidbit, apparently that cat was the Sidney Poitier before Sidney Poitier.
I read that first. I read it while we were watching the movie.
But yeah, that guy was apparently the breaking down barriers before Sidney came onto the scene, but only about like a year or 2. And Sidney had a much better like career in terms of star power. Like that guy, he was the first black person to depict Air Force pilot.
And a non-subservient role
Yeah, that too.
in a predominantly white cast.
But he never blew up. Like, he never became like a household name or anything. Anywho, those two are the only people we see. And I was like, I would have liked to have seen just at least snippets of the other 7 guys living their, day-to-day life, and then something to happen where we get hints that they're, sleeper agents or whatever, but we don't. So yeah, that was a letdown for me. Like, I wanted, since you showed them to me, I wanted to see. And Frank Sinatra's character, Major Marco, he's basically coming out of it. Like, I don't know how he got his brain right, but he's remembering bits and pieces. Like, he can't put it together, and he's trying to tell some people, but at the same time, when he tries to tell people, his brainwashing kind of kicks in, and he's like, oh, but Sergeant Shaw is like the nicest, sweetest person, caring person, whatever. Like, he can't talk about him. And going back to like what we said, that was their main part, was to just kind of keep his persona alive or whatever, right? So yeah, there's all this stuff happening. We find out that he's triggered by the game of solitaire. Somebody says, hey, why don't you play solitaire? He starts to play solitaire, and as soon as he deals out the Queen of Hearts, Diamonds, the Queen of Diamonds, whatever next thing gets said to him is like his mission, and he has to do it. So that happens a couple times, both intentionally and unintentionally. So it was Angela Lansbury is a terrible mom. Like, she's the worst. She's that. When you think of a terrible mom in a movie, she's that person.
She worse than Cinderella's stepmother.
Right. Which I really enjoyed. Like, because I grew up watching Angela Lansbury, and she's always like the sweet little lady. And I enjoyed seeing a different side of her. Now, she wasn't mean in Gaslight. She was just...
she was a city girl in Gaslight.
Yeah, she was a city girl. That's a good explanation. So, but she was barely in the movie, though, so you didn't really get to see her that much. But when she was in there, she was for them streets. So that was still cool. But this was like full on. She's a top billed actress in the movie, because this happens like 10 years past Gaslight, or at least some time has passed since Gaslight. She's a bona fide star, because that was her first movie role. And to see her like that, it was kind of like seeing Denzel in Training Day, where he's a bad guy. So we find out she is a bad guy. So she's his American handler. And what's funny is because she's been talking about communists this whole movie. She's like, that guy's a commie.
Yeah, communist.
Because again, this is during the time where anybody who was not like a red-blooded, patriotic American, you were automatically a communist, right? And so she talking greasy about people the whole movie. Turns out she the queen pin. She the paraphernalia. She done did the crime.
But I could tell that she was strategically calling certain people communists just to get them out of their power, so that she could wiggle her way up the ladder, basically. Like, Raymond was dating this girl, and her daddy was also a senator, and pre them being together, Angela had already called her daddy a communist, and he almost got like impeached out of the Senate, but he ended up keeping his spot and everything. But they had beef because of that. He was like, I don't like your mama, right?
Raymond was like, that's crazy. I don't like my mama. So they bonded over that, and they were frolicking through the flowers.
Not like your mama.
After that, like, it was hilarious.
And then he was about to marry the girl and everything, and then she basically doubled down and was like, hey, remember back then when I called him a communist? He's still a communist. And she got her husband to get in on it too, called him a communist on the Senate floor. And he moved to get the girlfriend daddy impeached, because he heard that the daddy was going to move to get him impeached. So he got the upper hand and did it to him first. He didn't get impeached though, but he did raise the eyebrows and stuff of people again. And because of that, Raymond and the girl broke up. She moved to Paris. I think her daddy moved to Paris too.
No, I think he stayed around.
Because if that's the case, maybe he did get impeached. I know she moved to Paris, and he hadn't seen her since then, like years had passed.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of twists and turns. Not like bold twists, but it was an engaging movie. Like maybe I would have enjoyed this. Probably not. I still wasn't on that. I was gonna say maybe I would have enjoyed this in high school with the remake with Denzel, but I still wasn't on that.
I want to see the remake now, though.
Yeah, we definitely gonna watch the remake. But yeah, it's funny watching it and seeing them talking about, you know, like I've watched stuff before where people talk about communists and all that stuff, but just to see how quick people were just throwing out and turning on you and whatnot.
It was like you had the plague or something too when somebody said it, he's a communist, and the crowd was like, oh,
right,
like jumping away from you like you're gonna give them cooties or something.
And like being an adult now and knowing, you know, capitalism and communism and all that stuff helped with the movie. Like not understanding, but just in my general observation of life, it was stuff that I could have an internal conversation and talk about with stuff going on in the world and like how things should be, and you know, the good points of both and the bad points of both, and yada yada yada. But
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the stepdaddy was very similar to a current day politician
100%.
with the things that he was doing in the movie.
I mean, it was wild.
If you watch the movie, you'll know exactly who we're talking about.
So overall, like this movie was a lot better than I thought it was gonna be. Like,
before you get to that, we gotta tell about his actual mission.
Okay. So his actual mission, like he did a lot of stuff while he was under brain control, and it's a lot of people like in on this case or whatever. Like he gets,
dang, you were in on it.
Like he gets phone calls and stuff. Like they watching him. But his actual mission was to assassinate the president-elect. And
he wasn't even the president-elect. They just nominated him.
Well, he's nominated to be president. Which she made a comment. She was like, "Why would you do it before he's even
let
in
him
office?
Get elected and then do it if you're trying to take over his position." But
whatever.
What do we know?
But yeah, so he was to assassinate the nominee, and then his stepdaddy, the senator, was running for VP, and he was basically gonna get just ushered into the presidency role or whatever, and then Angela was gonna be, you know, the first lady and really be running things, because the senator Eisnell, I forget his name.
It's like Ice something.
Yeah, he was a moron, and he was clearly a puppet, and Angela was pulling the strings, and it wasn't alluding to it. Like she talked to him like he was a small child.
She told him multiple times, "Go away, the adults are talking now."
Right, like do what I tell you to do. She was a real jerk in this movie, but you find out that she's his American handler, and it's like, dang, you do that to your own son. But she claims, and I do believe her, that she signed up, like she joined the other side, you know what I'm saying? She with the other side.
She was a communist.
And she herself was a communist or whatever. But she just knew she was gonna get a sleeper agent. She didn't know who was gonna be the sleeper agent. Lo and behold, it's her son or whatever, right? So maybe they did it as like a security thing, not security, what's the thing I'm looking for? Insurance.
But that was what she said in the movie when she told him. She was like, they told me it was going to be a sleeper agent. They didn't say it would be you. What'd she say? They promised me
a killer,
a new life, but took your soul in return.
Yeah. So in her brain, once the mission was done, she was going to turn the tables on them, and they was going to get theirs. It's like, woman, stop.
All right.
They got people everywhere. They take you out whenever they feel like it. But so speaking about Angela, so now we know she a bad guy, like a bad guy or whatever, because we've alluded to the American handler, but we hadn't seen the American handler. And when it gets revealed, it's a cool way that it gets revealed that it's her, but it's like, dang, that's crazy. Not only are you like a terrible person, but you're also the villain, like the for real super. You Red Skull over here. But controversial thing, when after she gives him that speech of like, I didn't know it was gonna be you, I'm sorry, but this will be over soon, and she kisses him. So this is based on a book. I didn't mention that in the beginning. This is based on a book that came out prior to, and in the book they have an explicit,
I told you,
incestuous relationship, which we did talk about it during the movie.
That I'm pretty sure when he was under, that she would be taking advantage of him while he was under.
She did, and it's not alluded to in the book. Like it's like there's the bed scene and everything. But yeah, there's a whole subplot of that happening in the book.
I'm glad they cut that out. They could have cut out the kiss too.
Right. Like it was uncomfortable. But yeah, so at the end, the assassination attempt happens, but by this point he's gotten with Marco, and Marco's told him what's been going on and all of that. Unbrainwashes him. And instead of killing the guy, he kills his stepdaddy and his mama. Hard. And then he kills himself. Suicide. And he puts on the Medal of Honor before he does it. And now it's because he once he got it, he took it off. Like once the cameraman, the photographers, and everybody was gone, he took it off because he was like, I don't deserve this, because he didn't feel like it or whatever, right? Like he didn't know that everything was a farce. He just knew that he didn't do nothing special, or whatever, right? That this is a publicity stunt. But he was like, now I've literally saved my country. I earned this medal. I'm gonna put it on, and then he committed suicide.
And he was like, they never would have stopped. They never would have stopped. And then he shot himself.
Yeah, because they were going to arrest them. Like Marco, Frank Sinatra's character, had set it up so they were going to stop the plot and get them arrested and, take them to get their justice. And Shaw was like, that's not how this going to end. Right. It's too big. It's bigger than this. They just pawns in this or whatever. I got to take them out.
But let us tell you about what took him to the final limit of, I got to kill them because they will not stop. His mama, on his last mission that she gave him before killing the presidential candidate, she was like, I feel like now it is a good time for him to marry that girl that liked him and he liked back. And so I heard that she's moving back from Paris, so we're going to throw a big welcome back party. And at that, they'll reunite because they're still in love with each other. And they'll get back together. They'll get married. It'll be great for him. Blah, blah, blah. So that happened. They did get back together and all of that. And then this is when she was talking to her daddy. I don't know his name. I'm going to call him Steve. The girl's daddy, a.k.a. Senator Steve. Angela was talking to him, and she was like, oh, it looks like our kids are back together now. So since we're basically going to be family, how about if my husband's name is brought up for nomination for president? And he cut her off. He was like, he will never be nominated for president. She was like, I know, but he'll at least get the vice president thing. But if he is brought up, are you gonna go against him, like vote against him? And he was like, not only will I vote against him, I'm gonna call him out for this and call him out for that, and I'm gonna move for him to be impeached. And that was when that part got brought back up. And so she was like, cool. Hey son, play some solitaire right quick. Had him get back into his mode and ordered him to kill Senator Steve. Now, previously, when he was originally brainwashed
on The Walking Dead,
they told him when he's doing a mission, if anybody gets in his way, to kill them too. So you wouldn't have any
witnesses.
Yeah, witnesses, loose strings, any of that stuff. So he went in the house. He talking to the senator. And the senator's like, hey, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. All of this. And he's like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like that. He was like, is everything okay? No, sir. And he was like, what? Is that a gun in your hand? Yes, sir. What you doing with it? Pow! Shot him. And then he walked up to him. He fell out on the floor in the kitchen. And Raymond walked up to him And as he was standing over him with the gun pointed at him again, his now fiance, no, they already
were
snuck
married,
and got
yeah,
married.
they
They
eloped.
eloped overnight, got married. And so his wife came in, and right when he went to shoot, she was like, Raymond, what are you doing, pal? And so then he heard her, of course. And because of how he was conditioned, he put the gun up at her. Pow. He was like, dang, he shot her. I knew he was going to shoot her, but dang, he shot her. But then, like, he left out because his mission was complete. He was going back home or wherever. And when it passed by, it showed that he shot her in the forehead. I was like, dang, make sure you didn't miss.
Right.
I just had to say that.
Yeah, that was a crazy scene.
That was what broke him, though. Like, when he realized that he killed them, he was like, it's got to go down.
Right. Because like we said earlier, he already hated his mama. So to find out that she was controlling everything, to find out everything that he had did in the last 2 years, and then to find out that she was, the queen pin behind it, and that she forced him to kill his. They've been married 24
Literally
hours.
got married the day before, maybe the night before.
And his stepdaddy, which was like the best thing that happened to him ever, because apparently he was living like this miserable life until he met them, and he was like I said, frolicking through the flowers after they, got into each other's lives. So, yeah, overall, had a good time watching it. It is a black and white film, so if you don't like black and white films, you've been forewarned. And I didn't talk about Janet Leigh. What?
The black and white film, when we were watching it, he was playing solitaire. He was like, you can't put that card on top of that card. You can't put black on black.
I was upset for a second. He was playing solitaire, and I was like, you can't put that card right there. You gotta go red, black, red, black, red, black. Forgetting that I was watching a black and white movie. I was like, you're right.
Type stuff.
But yeah, I didn't talk about Janet Leigh's character because she was weird.
Very weird.
You watch the movie, you'll see. But she's in this.
She's Marco's betrothed.
Yeah, but like all her scenes are weird. It's like what's happening? I mean, she does a good job. Like they all do a good
she
job.
wasn't a bad actor or anything. It was just her character in general.
Weirdly scripted. Like the dialogue was always like, what are they talking about? Who wrote this?
Doing this?
This don't make no sense. But anyway, I far as should it be on the list of movies you must watch before you die, surprisingly, I do think it's on the list. Like it's definitely a conversation type movie where you can talk about a different like political stuff, and just correlate it to modern day, America and what's going on, and the like, what would you do, or like what the thought process of like sleeper agents. And it gets wrongfully labeled as the first movie to show martial arts. First American movie to show martial arts, which was terrible, by the way.
Frank Sinatra doing martial arts. Just imagine it.
Yeah, it's Dolomite, basically. Have you ever seen Dolomite? It's that, but that's not true. It's one of the earlier movies because it happened before like the Kung Fu craze in the 70s.
Yeah.
So seeing martial arts wasn't a prevalent thing in movies, but it was not the first one to show it. The first one happened in like 1937 or something like that.
There's
but
a lot of space in between.
It is a lot of space in between. But there's only like 4 total between then and this movie at best. So it still like was one of the first 5.
Yeah, it was a forefather.
And guess who was originally supposed to be Angela Lansbury's character?
Maggie Smith.
No. Lucille Ball.
She would have been good in that. She is a very good dramatic actor that a lot of people don't know that about her. Like, go and look through her filmography and like her earlier movies. Well, no, actually her later movies. Her midlife movies. She did a lot of serious films, and she was
good.
Very good.
But yeah, she was the first choice, but something happened and Angela wound up getting it instead. The dude who played Shaw, he has a daughter. That dude was also trifling in real life. He got married a lot and divorced a lot. He had a daughter, I think, by his second wife, maybe third wife, and her real life government name is Domino Harvey. So his name is Domino Harvey.
Oh yeah, I forgot that his name was Harvey.
And I don't know if you ever saw it. I didn't see this movie, but I knew it existed. There's a movie called Domino that came out in the early 2000s about a hit woman. It's about her.
She was a real life hit woman.
So she used to be a model, and then decided to be a bounty hunter. So she's not a hit person. I said that wrong. She's a bounty hunter, and the movie's about, like, it's loosely based off of her, but it's clearly like the name of the movie is Domino.
Yeah.
But they based it off of it. I don't think they delve into her model past. They might. I want to see it. I
think it did.
I want to see it now. But yeah,
his slightly remember.
His daughter was a model, and then just was like, "I'm changing careers. I'm gonna be a bounty hunter." But she wound up dying to a drug overdose in a bathtub. But now I want to see that movie. But yeah, that's his daughter, Domino Harvey. But yeah, I do think it needs to be on the list. I had issues with it, so I enjoyed it, but I didn't really enjoy it because there were like scenes with Janet Leigh were weird, and it didn't really like what are we doing here? And to introduce as many POWs as you did, and then only focus on 1.5 of them, because the black man, his wife, because you know black women smart, she was like, "Have you talked to any of your other unit guys about your recurring?" Because this is a recurring nightmare.
Also having dreams or anything.
And he's like, "You know what? I never thought about that. You right. Let me write Shaw." And he writes Shaw.
Friend in the whatchamacallit. He was like, "Why did you call me your best friend?"
Right.
Because turns out that was part of his brainwashing, that they were best friends.
But Shaw definitely reads that letter, and then nothing happens.
He didn't read the whole letter though. That's why when whatchamacallit was like,
well,
"Did you read the whole letter?"
Yeah.
He read part of it.
And then they called him and told him to play solitaire.
And then he threw it away instead of finishing reading it.
Yeah. But yeah, they just didn't talk about the other guys at all. And I was like, they could at least been at the end. Like Frank Sinatra could have gathered them all up to help with the mission at the end of stopping the assassination. So I was like, that was kind of a waste. And some bits were slow, like there was some lows, and then it would speed back up, and it was lows, whatever. So I'm gonna give it 3.5 Cowboy Ninjas out of 5. I would like to have given it 4, but like I said, with my little parts that took me out of the movie, well, they took me out of the movie, but they just kind of disappointed me. Take off half a Cowboy Ninja, and but yeah, I would still tell you to check it out and enjoy yourself. What did you think?
Oh, like 1 second. Everything you said.
I meant to let you go first this time, and I completely forgot.
I liked the idea for the movie of him being a sleeper cell and everything. I do understand why it had a lot of POWs and then only showed a few of them afterwards, because he needed to have rescued a lot of people to get the Medal of Honor.
True.
But it wasn't important to show them afterwards because they basically just grabbed some people and brainwashed them to say that he saved them, but they weren't actually important to anything. And I liked the movie. I was about to say Jamie Lee. The Janet Leigh role was weird. She was a lingerer, very clingy. She fell in love very fast, but she was almost like a comedic break in the movie, but I don't think she was supposed to be a comedic break. They just wrote her very weirdly. But aside from one thing that she did, I don't think that the movie would have been different if she wasn't in it at all. Her character, not Janet. She was doing good. She could have played somebody else, but if her character wasn't in it, it wouldn't have made a difference in the movie. I wish the black man had more presence in it. He basically just had that one part. where he had the nightmare and wrote him. Marco, the way that they got back together, by the way, when Marco had his nightmares, he saw that Shaw was back in New York, and he was like, I'm gonna go visit him and see if he's having any issues or anything, because they were slightly closer in real life, but they still weren't friends. Like, even in the movie, Marco was like, I told them that he was the nicest, kindest, bravest, greatest guy I've ever met. I did not like him in the military. Like, he was not a fun or fond person to be around. Right. So I don't know why I said that, but that was before he knew that he was brainwashed. But they were closer than the other people, so he could just go directly to him to talk to him and get information, mostly just because he knew where he lived. He didn't know where the other people lived. But what else? I don't know. I liked the movie a lot. I did not feel like it had highs and lows. Well, not lows. I don't feel like it had any lows, but it leveled out. Like, it was regular, and then like something intense would happen, and then it would go back to regular. But I never felt like a lull for real. Like I was bored at any point. Somebody fell asleep at one point watching the movie, but that was because he had red wine, and for some reason he don't know how to stay awake when he drink red wine.
Snitch.
Anyway, I do think that this deserves to be on the 1001 Movies Before You Die 2020 edition. And I would give this movie 4 Cowboy Ninjas out of 5 because I really liked it. Like, as soon as the movie went off, I was like, I really liked it. And I was like, whoop, I've said too much.
She did.
Save it for the review.
I think I said some stuff too, and I was like, shut up, William. You gotta say this for the review.
We just had to go to sleep afterwards. We wouldn't talk about it anymore. But I definitely recommend this movie to anyone. Like, if you like conspiracy theories, this is a really good movie for you to watch. I was like, you gotta get your conspiracy hat on. Open your eyes, brother, when you're watching this movie. And it'll take you there, like, if you're into that kind of stuff. But, yeah. Pretty good movie. Would recommend. Anything else, lover?
No.
Well, in that case, that's it. Thank you all for watching another one of our videos, our reviews. We really do appreciate it, and we will get back to camping one of these days.
It's been busy.
Yeah, like every weekend is something that we have to do. So we haven't been able to start our camping trips for this season yet. But December, we're going somewhere.
Are we?
Yes. If we camp in the backyard. We camping. But stay tuned for new camping videos and or outdoor adventure related videos. Other than that, we really hope that you like this review. We tried to squeeze it down some. We're working on it. And if you did like it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. We would appreciate it. And if you really liked it, go ahead and subscribe as well down below.
Share it.
Yeah, share it with your homies. If you ain't got no homies, just share it somewhere. Post it in the...
Just drop it randomly.
Right? Write it on a sheet of paper. Pass it to somebody. Pass them the link. But, seriously, guys. Thanks. Happy holidays. How about that? Cover your bases. If you celebrate something, happy that.
Right.
Till we see you next time. Next time we see you, I might have had my birthday already. So say happy birthday in the comments if you want. I love you. I'll stop talking now.
This has been another episode of Team Tatum.
Bye.
Holla at y'all.